Hello guys, this is Paul McWhorter with TopTechBoy.com, and we're here today with episode number 84 in our incredible new tutorial series where you're learning how to think like an engineer using the Arduino Uno R4 Wi-Fi. What I will need you to do is pour yourself a nice tall glass of ice cold coffee. That would be straight up black coffee, poured over ice, no sugar, no sweeteners, none needed. And as you're pouring your coffee, as always, I want to give a shout out to our friends over at Sunfounder. Sunfounder is actually sponsoring this most excellent series of video lessons, and in this class we will be using the Sunfounder Elite Explorer Kit. Now, hopefully most of you guys already have your gear, but if you don't, take a look down in the description. There is a link over to Amazon, and you can hop on over there and pick your kit up. And believe me, your life and my life are going to be a whole lot simpler if we are working on identical hardware. But enough of this shameless self-promotion. Let's jump in and talk about what I am going to teach you today. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you my solution to the homework assignment that I gave you in lesson number 83. So I must ask, were you successful? Were you able to remove some of the drift from your gyro results? Okay, that was the homework assignment, reducing the drift in your gyro results for roll, pitch, and yaw. If you were successful, leave a comment down below, I am legend. And if you weren't successful, leave a comment down below, I folded up like a cheap Walmart lawn chair. Okay, now there's always different ways of trying to do the calibrations and trying to reduce the drift. When we calibrated the accelerometer, we saw that we had both an offset error in our readings and a scale error in our readings, and so we had to correct for offset and scale. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to look at what we're getting from our gyro, and then we're going to decide what is the best way to try to compensate for that drift. Okay, does that sound good? I hope it does. I'm going to get out of your way. And we're going to come over here to the most excellent www.toptechboy.com, and we don't want to go all the way back and start from zero, so we want to pick up where we left off last week. So if you come to this happy little search tool and you search on something like calculating roll, pitch, and yaw from gyros on our Arduino MPU6050 IMU project, something like that, you'll come to this page. First of all, this is the schematic that we are working on. We have the GY87 module, which has on it the MPU6050 IMUs, and we have done the 3 accelerometers. We're now working with the 3 gyros, and quite a while ago we did the pressure sensor. So we're now up to 7 of the 10 sensors on this module that we have worked with. Very simple to hook up: VCC to 5 volts, ground to ground, SCL to SCL, and SDA to SDA. Then this is the code that we ended up last week, where we were using just the gyros to calculate roll, pitch, and yaw. And what the problem is in doing that, we saw that there was a drift, and what we're going to try to do is take care of that drift today. So you can come here and you can click on this little double page icon, and that will copy the code. We'll come over here to Arduino and we'll paste it. And just a couple of quick reminders here. I showed you in lesson number 79 how to calibrate your accelerometers, and go back and watch that lesson if you want to do this, and then you calculate your you find your X max, X min, Y max, Y min, Z max, Z min. You have to find this for your modules. So if you're going to calibrate, you would uncomment out this code and you would put your numbers in as per lesson number 79, and then you would basically uncomment out then lines 26 through line 39, And then to apply that calibration, you would come down to lines 80 through 82, and you would uncomment out those. But that's only going to work for you if you go in and find those X max, X min numbers. Now, I am using a different MPU6050, and this one I didn't really see needed calibration because it was within 1% or 2% of perfect without calibration. So I'm leaving this, I'm leaving these commented out, so I won't be calibrating the accelerometer. Okay, now, what are we going to do? We're just going to run this and see if this thing will run. Okay, make sure that the world is in proper order and that we can simply copy and paste. And all right, looks like it is compiling all right, and that's all good. We're going to come up here and we're going to bring up the serial monitor. Okay, what do we like? Okay, what we don't like is this one is already off to the races. What is that pitch? Pitch already looks like it's off the races. Let me see if I can run that thing again. Okay, yeah, you see we've got a drift in pitch that's pretty bad. Let's come over here and look. I want to look at this. Yeah, so in the X, the gyro on the X, when it's sitting still, it's reading 0.04 radians per second, and that's enough to let that number start running off. The Y is reading 0.02 radians per second when it's sitting still, and the Z is the best one, and it's reading 0.01. These should all be reading 0, and so these represent a drift component. Now you say 0.04, that's a really, really small number. Why is such a small number turning out to be such a big problem? Like already while I've just been talking to you, we already have a 100-degree error. It's a very small number, but we are integrating that number. And when you integrate a small error, the error accumulates and the error adds to the error adds to itself every time through the loop. And we have what? We are off to the races, and we are now up to like 150-degree error in a very short period of time. Okay, now what do I notice as I sit and watch this thing? Remember last week I had the lesson, I was showing you this, and last week what did we read? 0.04 degrees, 0.04 radians per second error in the X, 0.02 radians per second in the Y, and 0.01 radians per second in the Z. It's kind of constant. So if it's kind of constant, we can subtract it out. Now that means that we don't trust the gyros. Never trust the gyros. They will break your heart every time, but they can help you with those quick changes where the accelerometer doesn't work so well. They can help you with the quick changes where the accelerometer doesn't work so well. And then the accelerometer can give you those long-term, more steady state type of values. So where we're heading in the future is combining the best of both worlds between what the gyro offers and what the accelerometer offers. But today, what we are just doing is we're trying to get the best data that we can from the gyro. Now, just to back up, what is it that we want? We want an inclinometer or a tilt meter or a device to measure roll, pitch, and yaw that is what? Is fast. Very snappy. We don't want it to be slow and sluggish. We want it to be fast and snappy. We want it to not have any noise. We want it to be accurate, right? No noise. And then we don't want drift. And with the accelerometer alone or the gyro alone, you can get two of those three, fast, low noise, and no drift. You can get any two of those three that you want, but so far we haven't been able to get 3 out of 3. What are we doing today? We're going to make the gyro as good as we possibly can. And what do we notice? We notice that the error in the rotational velocity seems to be fairly constant. And what would that mean? That would mean that we could maybe subtract out that offset. So let's think about doing that. All right. So we're going to come up here now. I've done a whole lot of talking, but let's see if maybe we can think about how we would subtract that error off. So I've got AX, AY, AZ, the raw data from the accelerometer, the raw data GX, GY, GZ from the gyros. Then I've got the roll from the gyro, the pitch from the gyro, and the yaw from the gyro. Okay, and that's all good. But now what do I want? I want to calculate an offset for each one of those. So I'm going to do take my caps locks off, float gyro x offset, and that's going to be equal to 0 just to get it started. Float gyro y offset is going to be equal to 0, because you see the offset is different in each one of the axes. Float gyro z offset equals 0. All right, so float would work better. Gyro x offset, gyro y offset, and gyro z offset. Okay, that is all very good. Okay, now after we come down and start our MPU and get everything going right before we go into the void setup, we are going to define a new function, and it's going to be calibrate gyro, like that. Okay, now what do I want to do? What do I want to do in this function? I want to look at these three numbers down here, the x, the y, and the z on the gyro, and I want to average those over like 1,000 readings, and then I want to subtract that off as the offset. So this is going to be a pretty simple little averaging program. We're going to come in, and I'm going to tell the person serial.println. I'm going to tell the user that we are calibrating the gyro, keep completely, what do I want to call that? Keep completely what? Let's use the word stationary. Keep completely stationary, because you are going to really get bad results if you are moving, vibrating, or in any way disturbing the gyro while these measurements are being made. So we're going to print that. Okay. Now, next up, what we're going to do is let's wait a second. So we'll say delay for 1,000 milliseconds, just to give the person time to put it down and get his hands off of it. Then we're going to need an index. So I'm going to say I is going to be my index for my for loop. It'll be an int. Now I'm going to float the sum of the x readings, and I'm going to set that as 0 to get started. Float sum of the y readings, and I'll set that to 0. This is just where I'm going to be totaling up, right, to average. You add all the numbers, and then you divide by the number of numbers. And then float sum z is going to be equal to 0 to get our bucket starting out empty. Now I'm going to say for I is equal to 0, and then we're going to go as long as I is less than num points. Well, if we're going to do that, we better give it a num point. So I'm going to say int num points, and we're going to give it 1,000 points. All right. So why did I go less than num points instead of less than or equal to num points? Because I'm starting at 0, and then I stop one before num points, and then that means how many numbers did I do, how many times through the loop, num points. Then we're going to have I is equal to I plus 1, like that, and then we want to open up our for clause. Now what are we going to do in here? We're going to make measurements, so we better sensors event t, because we haven't done this down below, so we're going to do it here. Sensors event t. What are our data? What are our data objects that we're going to save the data in? A, G, and temp. Remember, we did this before. Now we make our measurement. MPU.getEvent. And then we want to reference what? We want to reference those three data structures, and A for acceleration, and G for the gyro, and then and temp for the temperature. Does that look right? AG temp, MPU get event, that looks good. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to add those 1,000 times through the loop. So sum x is going to be equal to sum x plus g dot gyro what x. Okay, and then sum y is equal to sum y plus g dot gyro dot y, like that, and then sum z is equal to sum z plus g dot gyro dot z. Okay, so I'm summing up that error. I'm summing up that error in x, that error in y, and that error in z. Okay, now I'm going to delay between each time through the loop 10 milliseconds. That should be good. And now as I drop out of that loop, what do I want to do? The gyro x offset is going to be equal to the sum in x divided by what? Num points. Okay, and then the gyro y offset is going to be equal to sum of what? Y divided by num points. And then gyro z offset is going to be equal to sum z divided by num points. Okay, now what do we expect? We expect this to be very close to 0.04, 0.02, and 0.01. Now probably I would guess that maybe there's like even going to be more precision in there than this. Maybe there's some decimal points that aren't printing, but we're going to get pretty close to these numbers because you see those numbers aren't changing very much. But if they are changing a little bit, never fear, because we averaged 1,000 points. So that should be pretty good. Okay, now what do we need to do here? We're going to come down. That's all looking pretty good. That's all looking pretty good. Well, what we better not forget to do is in the void setup, before we go into our void loop, we are going to need to what? Calibrate the gyro like that. Okay, now what I want you to see is, like, you think of these offsets, boom, boom, boom. Well, do I need to declare those as global? No, because I declared the variables up here outside the scope of that. So everything down below it will know what those variables are because I defined them out here, and I think that sure better be float. Ha, caught it before I ran it. It doesn't count. Okay, so now I should be calibrated, right? I should be calibrated. So what do I need to do down in the main program? In the main program, I need to subtract the offset. So I'm going to say minus gyro x offset, and then I am going to minus gyro y offset, and then I'm gonna, what is that? I'm gonna minus gyro z offset. So what I do is I do the correction on the raw gyro numbers, and now everything after that uses just gx, gy, and gz, but now these are the corrected numbers. Could it really be that easy, I ask? I don't know, but let's try to run this thing. I hope I didn't make a mistake. Denied. What did I do? Did I mean void? Yeah, I meant void. What a silly mistake that was. At least I caught a couple of my errors before we ran it. Okay, here we go. Here we go. And we're going to open this thing up, and let's see. That was kind kind of peculiar. Let's see if we can restart that. Oh, okay, yeah. No, I'm confused. I don't know why that didn't work. Let's look over here and see what happened on the serial monitor. Okay, what I need to do is I need to hit that. Now, calibrating the gyro kept completely stationary. Let's fix that. I was wondering why nothing was happening. Why nothing is happening, it's in there making those measurements, okay? Now we would hopefully eventually see something happen here. Okay, there it goes. Boom. Now, what I want you to see is look at that Gx is 0, Gy is 0, and Gz is 0. If we call up the serial plotter, look at that. I've got an error of 17 degrees in the pitch that I don't like. So let's reset this and see. Okay, now it is, once again, it's calibrating. And I really don't know why I have an error in the pitch there like that. Did you guys see a mistake that I made? We just got to wait for it to run again. Okay, yeah, and man, that pitch is no good. The pitch is no good. So let's come in here and see what did I do wrong on the pitch. So I've got x is x plus x, y is y plus y, z is z plus z, and then x is x, y is y, z is z. That looks good. And then we come down here. X offset, Y offset, Z offset. Man, that really looks good to me. So where is that error coming in pitch? Okay, so the pitch is from the X. The pitch is coming from the X, and that is where the problem is. So let's look at the X. Gx is g.gyro.x minus gyro x offset. That looks good. We come up here, and gyro x offset is sum of x divided by num points, and sum of x is equal to sum of x plus g gyro of x. And then look at this, I've got a 0 in the x, a 0 in the y, a 0 in the z, so that sure looks good. So where is this 17 error coming on pitch? Let's see if I'm printing out the right thing. So I am printing out roll G, pitch G, yaw G. That looks right. You guys tell me where my error is. Sometimes, on occasion, you're best just to unplug. And let me show you over here so you can see what I'm doing. And then let's just plug this thing back in. Okay, now it is going to calibrate. Awkwardly long pause here, isn't it? Awkwardly long. Okay, so there is looking a lot better. So let's come up here and look. Okay, boom. Sometimes those things get hung and you just got to unplug it. I don't completely understand that, but look at that. Now the yellow line and the blue line down here, those are just those limits that we set so it doesn't auto scale. What I would like to do is I would like to make those 90 and minus 90. And so let's come to our prints and let's go between 90 and minus 90. I don't know why that thing didn't work the first time. Like I say, the gyro is a little finicky and sometimes you just got to take power off and start over. Okay, here we come. And we're going to pop this open and look at that. Didn't go to 90 and minus 90. Why didn't that go to 90 and minus 90? Let's try that again. Oh, I know why, because it's I keep forgetting it needs 4 or 5 seconds, okay? It needs 4 or 5 seconds to calibrate. So let's move this over here where you can see it. What do we love here? Do you see that 0? Okay, that thing is staying on 0. And remember, before we did these offsets, these things were already off to the races. But now, can I make a measurement? So I'm going to come here and notice that I'm right against this line. So on yaw, it's clear that I'm at 0. And then I can rotate it up here. And what do I come to? I come to not quite minus 90, okay, but let's come back, and then I come almost back to 0 like that, and then to 90. Okay, that is pretty good. All right, do you see how I am what? I am yawing, and then I have it like at a 45-degree angle, right? I'm going corner to corner, which would be about a 45-degree angle, and it's coming in at about 40, so that is pretty good. Let's see if we can start this thing again, and I'm going to start with it more perfectly lined up. I'll more perfectly line it up where you can see it too. Okay, so I'm going to hit this. Now we're going to wait for it to calibrate again. Calibrating, keep the gyro completely stationary. Okay, so now you see how we're reading perfectly 0 on the yaw, and I'm lined up with the line here. So if I want to move it 90 degrees, I will just come up here to these orthogonal ones like that. And now what am I reading? I am reading exactly pretty much minus 90 degrees. Now if I come back to 0 and then I come up here like this, getting it lined up perfectly again, I'm up to positive 90. I go corner to corner and I should be right at 45. Okay, what happened there? Oh, I went the wrong way. I got to go backwards, right? Okay. There I am, almost perfectly at 45, okay? And then back home to 0. Look at that. How about the other axes, okay? What we're going to do is we're going to roll, and look at that. The roll came right down to about minus 90, and then we're going to come up here, and we're going to roll to plus 90. We're going to pitch nose down. We're going to pitch nose down to minus 90, and then we're going to come up here and pitch nose up, and now it is going a little bit high, so we've introduced a little bit of bias, and now when we come back down, somehow I've introduced some errors, right? So I think the yaw, oh yeah, let's see, let me get it back this way. And the yaw looks pretty good, but you see the roll and the pitch now have some error. I've introduced an offset error as I was sitting around playing with it. Well, this is what I think might be happening. So let me start again and recalibrate. And do you guys hear that rain out there? We got like a monsoon season. Okay, I digress. Let's come back over here and let's hit the reset. Make sure you can see what I'm doing. I just hit the reset. We're calibrating the gyro, keep completely stationary, and we are back to 0, so that's good. But now this is what I think is happening. Like, why was it perfect and I'm moving it around, everything's perfect, and then all of a sudden, wow, where'd that 20-degree error come from? Okay, now I want you to watch. I'm going to come here and I'm going to move it real fast to 90 degrees. Okay, when I moved it real fast to 90 degrees or minus 90 degrees, it didn't go to minus 90, it went where? To minus 60. Okay, now I'm going to go very carefully back to 0. And now when I go back to 0, now I have like a 35-degree error. Okay, what I think is happening, I can move it with my hand faster than it can make the reading. Okay, because remember when we set this thing up here, we said to kind of like go to up to 250 degrees a second. Well, I was going like 90 degrees in a tenth of a second. I think I was going faster than what we had this thing set to make the readings. Now, the other thing I think we got to think about is down here. A 10 milliseconds should be pretty good, but I'm going to take it down to 1 millisecond. And let's see if that's enough to fix our problem, just changing that to make the measurements quicker. That's the first thing that we'll do, and then if that doesn't work, we're going to need to go in and change that that filter rate that we have set. Not the filter rate, but the measurement rate, okay? So now, let's let that get its business done. Okay, there it goes. We're going to call this up. Now that's 0, okay? And now if I switch it very quickly, yeah, I'm still going too fast. So let's watch that. You see, even taking the measurement faster, I can switch it quicker than what it can keep up. All right, so now I'm just going to verify that one more time. Okay, so now I'm going to come in and I'm going to go quickly to 90 degrees. I didn't make it, right? I didn't make it. But now if I go slowly back, I go the full 90 degrees up to plus 40. So what we need to do is we need to come up here with that line of code where we put 250 degrees a second. I want to go really fast. So I think the fastest one that I can do is 2000 degrees per second. And you can't put just anything in here. There's like 250 is one of them, 2000 is one of them, 1000 is one of them. You might be able to do 500. I don't know. But now let's see if we run this thing faster, if we can make those quick turns and still keep track of where we are. Okay, there we are. All right, let's give it a chance to roll, get its calibration done. Okay, there it goes. We'll call this up. We're at 0. Now I'm going to switch quickly to 90. And look at that. I made it to 90. Did you see that? Now watch this. I'm going to go back real quick. I went back to 0. I'm going to go real quick. 90. Okay. Do you see? And now after playing with it, when I come back, I don't have that error. And same thing here. Let's go on a roll. Okay. Let's go on a roll. Okay. Now let's go on a pitch. And let's go on a down pitch. Okay. And now we have still got, we've somehow introduced an error. So you see, this is one of the things. The nice thing is I don't have a drift. Okay, the nice thing is I don't have a drift. But it is possible for me to move it quick enough that I can let it get confused about exactly where it is. And I'm kind of surprised that that error came in the roll. And so let's try this to be a little more deliberate. I come up, it's happy. I go down, it's happy. I go down, it's happy. I go down quickly, it's happy. 45, 45, okay. Okay, so you can see there when I tended to be more deliberate in my motion that I didn't have that problem. Now I don't know, let's see if I bring it up and then drop it. It seems like if I drop it, I can introduce a problem or take out a problem. Okay. What is that? That is the roll that's getting a little bit confused. But man, this is working pretty darn good, isn't it? It is working pretty darn good. And we now have something that is just pretty amazing. In fact, you would almost be tempted to just use this as it is. But let me tell you, if you came in here tomorrow, I could almost guarantee you that this thing would be way, way, way off. That what we've done is we've stabilized it for short-term measurements where you don't have the drift impacting you sort of in real time. But what do we like about this? We like that it's very accurate, right? When I go to 90 degrees, I am at 90 degrees. When I go to minus 90 or plus 90 degrees, now I'm at plus 90. I'm at 45. We like what? How accurate it is. What else do we like? We like how fast and snappy it is. What else do we like? We don't have noise. Now watch this. If I just sit and I go like this, you see as I put on vibration, I'm not getting noise. So it's accurate, it's low noise, it's fast, but what is it not? It still has a drift problem. Okay, it's fast, it's low noise, but it has drift. The accelerometer was what? We could filter the noise out, but then it would be slow and accurate, or we could leave the noise in and it would be fast and noisy. But you see, whether we use the accelerometer or we use the gyro, we want fast, we want accurate, and we want accurate meaning low noise, no noise, and we want no drift. Fast, no drift, no noise. Okay? And anything that we've done so far, I can get any two of those, but I can't get all three of them. So what your assignment is for next week is to play around. And what do we want? We want to get fast, and we want it to be no noise, and we want it to be no drift. Okay? That's what we want, all three at the same time. Now, what's the good news? Everything that I just showed you was really, really, really great, and we were not even using the accelerometer. What is the good news? We still have the accelerometer measurements in here, and we still have the calculation of roll and pitch from the accelerometer. So what your assignment is figure out, is there a way to mathematically merge or fuse those two sets of data together to get something that gives you all three. Now, I will give you a hint. It's not like you don't just go in and average the two numbers. You don't take the two numbers and average them, because as the gyro drifts over long term, if you average it with the accelerometer, you're just taking out half of that drift, and it's still going to go to the moon over time. Okay, so it's not just an average the two numbers. You have to kind of think through it a little bit. And you got to think through it. It's an approach almost a little bit. It's going to remind you a little bit of kind of like sort of a low pass filter, but it's not a low pass filter. It's sort of a stir together filter between the accelerometer and the gyro. And I hope you guys are having as much fun with this as I am. Like I say, I was there in the very earliest days of these microelectromechanical accelerometers, and to me, the magic is still there. I still love playing with these things, and it's just amazing to me. It was probably in about 1990 that I was playing with that. And so what's this, like 35 years ago? And just amazing to me how far this has come in the 35 years since I was first playing with it. Also, as always, I want to give a shout out to you guys who are standing with me on Patreon. It is the Patreons that allow me to keep producing this quality, fresh content every single week. Thank you guys. You can also help me by giving the video a thumbs up and leaving a comment down below. That will help me with the old YouTube juice. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. When you do, make sure you ring that bell so that you'll get notification when future lessons drop. And most importantly, share this video with other people, because the world needs more people thinking like an engineer and fewer people sitting around watching silly cat videos. Paul McWhorter with TopTechBoy.com. I will talk to you guys later.